Hey Bobcats, and welcome to the special edition of Bobcat News. We had the chance to meet with Congressman Tom Cole.
And I got to give him a plaque designating him as an honorary Bobcat. Congressman Cole told us that he was already a moor lion, but he was happy to be a Bobcat.
He took the time to sit down with me and answer questions that the entire 8th grader put together for him.
Shai, let's head over to that interview.
Welcome to the special edition of Bobcat News. I'm Shai Osgood, and joining us today is Congressman Cole, U.S. Representative of the 4th District of Oklahoma. Again, we would like to thank you for agreeing to spend time with us.
Thank you. It's a great honor.
It's great having you. I understand you are currently serving your 7th term and a very important role in the U.S. Congress.
Well, it is my 7th term. Some days you don't feel very important, but I'm on the Appropriations Committee, the Budget and Rules Committee. I serve as a deputy whip in the Republican side of the aisle, and I chair one of the more important subcommittees on appropriations. So over time you accumulate some influence, and I'm fortunate enough to have some.
What is the main purpose of the committee that you serve on? Well,
of the Appropriations Committee, it decides how we spend what's called the discretionary budget of the United States. That's about $1.1 trillion. About half of that goes for defense. The other half goes for everything from education to the National Institute of Health to NASA. So I've got a specific subcommittee that covers about $160 billion worth of spending and focuses on the areas of health and human services, education, and labor.
The students of the middle school have put together some questions for you.
Okay.
What is it like to be a U.S. representative?
You know, it's a great privilege. In the entire history of the United States, of all the hundreds of millions of people in our country, and remember there's over 300 million today, only 12,000 have ever served in the House of Representatives. So that's a pretty unique honor. I always tell people when I was a kid growing up, if I could have been anything in the world, I'd probably been a Major League Baseball player. And we've had professional baseball since 1881, and in that time there's been 19,000 professional baseball players. So a lot fewer congressmen than even major athletes in major sports. And you have to know, every time you press the button to vote, you're voting for about, in my case, a little over 700,000 people that you think you know what the right thing is or that they want you to do on their behalf. So it's a big responsibility, and it's a great personal privilege and honor.
What is the favorite part of your job?
You know, it'll seem strange, but actually traveling my district and listening to my constituents. This is a really varied district. Some of my colleagues will represent maybe relatively small parts of big cities, so they're just sort of like neighborhoods and houses. This district, I like to say, has 15,000 farms and ranches. It has over 20,000 producing oil wells. It has 2 gigantic military installations, the largest air depot in the world at Tinker Air Force Base, home of the field artillery and air defense artillery at Fort Sill. It has 11 different Indian tribes. It has 5 different colleges and universities. It has a very diverse economy. About once every 10 years, it's got the best college football team in America. So, pretty special place to get to represent.
What was your motivation for becoming a U.S. Congressman?
It was actually an accident. I had actually spent a lot of time. I actually have a degree in British history. I have a doctorate in British history, and I was going to be a college professor. I stumbled into politics by accident, taking a job that I thought would last 1 year as an executive director for the Oklahoma Republican Party back in 1980. And then I started running campaigns for other people and serving with them in staff capacities. Finally served in the state senate for a little while and was Secretary of State when Frank Keating was governor. But had a business, still have a piece of it, own a piece of it, that runs campaigns all across the country. Well, one of my very best candidates, clients, was a guy named J.C. Watts. You may have heard of him, great Oklahoma football player, only guy to win 2 back-to-back most valuable players in the Orange Bowl. A tremendous human being, African-American, first African-American ever elected statewide in Oklahoma, first one ever elected to Congress from Oklahoma. And he'd been in Congress about 8 years, and he decided a week before filing not to run again. And this was a very Democratic district. It still has more Democrats than Republicans. And there was a lot of doubt as to whether or not we could hold the seat. Republicans could hold it. So I had a lot of people calling me, including JC, and but my family's lived inside or next to this district for over 170 years. I'm Chickasaw Indian. That family part came out in Indian removal in the 1840s and 50s, and then my great-grandfather, who I knew, came to Oklahoma from Mississippi in 1880. So kind of know the ground, know the people, and thought maybe I could win. So I thought I was the best candidate, and I gave it a shot, and I got lucky.
Do you get any free time to relax and spend time with your friends and family?
Not very much. There's a body called the Congressional Institute that actually studies how Congress works, and they did a survey last year. The average member of Congress when you're in Washington, D.C., spends about 70 hours a week working. When you come home, you spend about 60 hours a week on the road working. So you really put in more hours than most folks do. And like when I'm, quote, home and on, quote, vacation, we call them district work periods, and that's what they are. You know, I spend a lot of time traveling over my district, which is about 11,000 square miles in all our parts of 16 counties. So I'm spending an awful lot of time talking to other people. Now, tomorrow I'll get to go watch the latest James Bond movie and watch OU beat Baylor tomorrow night. But other than that, don't get a lot of time.
So, on the occasion that you do get time off, what are your favorite hobbies to pursue?
You know, I like to read. I used to be an historian, so I'm constantly reading. And honestly, it's one of the up times about the job because I do a lot of airplane time. Like I'll do 40 or 50 trips between Washington and here every year, and then longer trips overseas because I sit on a defense subcommittee. And so I do a lot of reading. Doesn't look like it, but I like to do a fair amount of exercise just to keep my sanity. You know, mostly that's about it. I'm not a golfer or anything like that. Other than that, I spend time going to OU football games with my son and guys that I went to high school with or played football with in high school and college.
Would you like to discuss the decline in voter participation over the past years?
Yeah, sure.
And what do you think a solution may be?
Well, I think first of all, you need to make it easier for people to vote. You know, I would probably lengthen the time. Right now, you can't vote in Oklahoma until Friday before the Tuesday. I think I might lengthen that a little bit. But mostly, you simply have to convince them how important it is. You know, my mom was actually the first Native American woman ever elected to the state senate, so she was a pretty good local politician herself. Served as both the state rep, state senator, and then mayor of our hometown and more. And she used to say, if good people don't get involved in politics, there's only one other kind of people that are going to run it. And you really can make a difference. Most people, honestly, never take the time to get involved. But one of the things that my own political involvement has taught me is that, you know, with just a little bit of effort, you can have an amazing impact on the world around you if you're willing to do it. So I think, you know, frankly, people understanding the power of their vote, and much more importantly, the power of their participation, because that multiplies your vote and your influence. If more people understood that, I think more people would vote.
Do all of the representatives get along well even when they disagree?
You know, not all of them, but most of them do. I always tell people when I go talk like on college campuses, I always ask them, how many people would you vote for that you didn't agree with on everything? But you know, and every hand goes up. Oh, I could vote for somebody I don't agree with on everything. And then I ask, how many of you would vote for somebody you don't like? And almost nobody's hands goes up. And that tells you that these people who won office, they actually tend to be pretty likable people. They care about other people. They're pretty passionate about causes. Even people I disagree with are some of my very best friends in the House. They're just people. And you sort of admire the work ethic and the idealism because you know, if you're another member, what it's like. So I think you'd find that most of them genuinely are nice people. They'd be people that you'd like to spend time with.
Where do you see our government in 2020 when we 8th graders start our adult lives?
Well, that's a very good question. And I think we're on the eve of a very consequential election. And a lot will depend on whether or not we make wise choices as a people. I'm always optimistic about the future of the United States of America. We have our ups and downs, but we seem to always broadly move in the right direction. So I would hope by 2020, number one, we're in a much more secure world in terms of terrorism. Number two, that we are a more diverse and tolerant people. And I can almost guarantee you that will happen because that's been the course of American history. Number three, that we've dealt with our long-term financial problems so that the physical health of the country, the financial health is good. And number four, that we continue to be what we are today, the leader of the world in terms of science and innovation. Our real future is always being at the cutting edge. That's where the United States has always been. And, settling for second or third place is not either in the American nature or the long-term interest of the American people.
Thank you, Congressman Cole, for spending time and answering questions today. And thank you for promoting Oklahoma and representing us in Congress.
Well, you're very kind. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. If you're ever in Washington, come see me up there sometime.
Thank you for watching. Join us again for more special events here on Bobcat News.
My name is Tyler Hay. I'm student body president of Birch Creek Middle School. On behalf of Birch Creek Middle School, I would like for you to accept this plaque as a token of our gratitude.
Thank you. Can we get a picture?
Now an honorary Bobcat.
For a very old boar lion.
Congressman Cole is a very kind person who gave us insights on how our government works.
He was a good guy, and we are glad to have him as an honorary Bobcat.
Stay tuned for more special editions of Bobcat News.